Cleef names the 7 actors he respects most. Rod Cameron was born Nathan Roderick Cox on December 7, 1910, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. His early years were spent in the rugged landscapes of Western Canada, where his father worked as a railroad engineer and his mother managed their modest household. The vast prairies and mountain ranges of his childhood would later inform the authenticity he brought to his frontier roles. When Rod was 12, his family relocated to New Jersey, seeking better opportunities during the economic uncertainty that preceded the Great Depression. Standing and imposing 6 feet 4 inches tall with broad shoulders and a square jaw, Cameron seemed destined for physical work rather than the silver screen. After finishing high school, he took various jobs: construction worker, lumberjack, and eventually a civil engineer's assistant. But the allure of Hollywood during the 1930s proved impossible to resist. In 1937, at the age of 27, he made the journey west to Los Angeles with little more than $50 and a determined spirit. Cameron's entry into Hollywood was far from glamorous. He started as a stand-in and stunt double, his towering frame making him ideal for action sequences. For nearly 3 years, he worked anonymously, doubled for actors in dangerous scenes, and learned the mechanics of filmmaking from behind the camera. His breakthrough came unexpectedly in 1940, when a cinematographer noticed his commanding presence during a stunt rehearsal and suggested he audition for speaking roles. His first credited performance came in The Christmas Trail, 1940, a low-budget western where he played a cattle rustler with surprising depth. Though the film was modest, Cameron's natural charisma caught the attention of studio executives at Universal Pictures. Throughout the early 1940s, he steadily built his career with roles in adventure serials and B-westerns, becoming a reliable leading man in the studio system. World War II interrupted Cameron's rising career. Despite being in his early 30s, he enlisted in the United States Army Air Forces in 1943, serving as a training instructor for bomber crews. His military service was marked by dedication rather than combat heroics, but the discipline and camaraderie he experienced would influence his approach to collaborative filmmaking for the rest of his life. Returning to Hollywood in 1946, Cameron found the industry transformed. Darker, more psychologically complex films were gaining popularity, and audiences wanted heroes with more nuance than the simple good guys of the past. Cameron adapted brilliantly. His post-war roles in films like Stampede, 1949, Shortgrass, 1950, and The Bounty Killer, 1951, showcased a new kind of Western protagonist. Tough but thoughtful, capable of violence but preferring justice. Throughout the 1950s, Rod Cameron became one of the most bankable stars in Western cinema. His towering presence and gravelly voice made him perfect for frontier marshals, Texas Rangers, and determined sheriffs. He headlined over 40 films during this golden decade, including Santa Fe Passage, 1955, Yaqui Drums, 1956, and The Gun Hawk, 1963. Television also embraced him, with Cameron starring in the series City Detective, 1953 to 1955, and State Trooper, 1956 to 1959, which brought his stoic heroism into American living rooms every week. But by the mid-1960s, the Western genre was evolving. European directors were creating grittier, morally ambiguous frontier tales, and younger actors were replacing the established stars. Cameron's career slowed, and he found himself accepting smaller roles in increasingly obscure productions. Some actors might have grown bitter, but Cameron remained philosophical. "Every career has its seasons," he once remarked in an interview. "I had a good run, and I'm grateful for every moment." The 1970s saw Cameron transition into character roles and international productions. He appeared in Italian crime thrillers, Spanish westerns, and even a few Australian adventure films. His willingness to travel and adapt kept him working steadily when many of his contemporaries had retired. He brought the same professionalism to a minor role in a spaghetti western as he had to his leading parts 2 decades earlier. Off-screen, Rod Cameron was known as a generous colleague and devoted family man. He married 3 times throughout his life, with each marriage reflecting different chapters of his personal journey. His first wife, Angela Alves, whom he married in 1939, supported him through his struggling early years. Though they divorced in 1945 after his military service, they remained on cordial terms. His second marriage to Dorothy Nugent in 1950 produced 2 children and lasted nearly 20 years before ending in 1969. His final marriage to Patricia Norsworthy in 1972 brought him lasting companionship through his later years until her death in 1981. Cameron was passionate about woodworking and spent countless hours in his garage workshop crafting furniture for friends and family. He also raised quarter horses on a small ranch outside Los Angeles, finding peace in the physical labor and connection to the frontier life he'd portrayed on screen. Those who knew him described a man far removed from the tough guy image, thoughtful, self-deprecating, and deeply loyal to his friends. In a revealing interview conducted in 1977 for a film retrospective magazine, Cameron was asked about the filmmakers who had most influenced his career and understanding of cinema. His response was characteristically thoughtful. "People always ask actors about other actors," he said. "But the truth is, directors are the ones who really shape what we do. There are 5 directors I worked with who taught me everything about this craft. Not just how to hit a mark or deliver a line, but what cinema really means." Cameron's first choice was Anthony Mann, the director who helmed some of the most psychologically rich westerns of the 1950s. Tony understood that westerns weren't just about shootouts and horse chases, Cameron explained. He knew they were about men trying to find their place in a changing world. When I worked with him on Border Incident back in '49, he told me something I never forgot. The landscape should be a character too. He taught me to use silence and stillness, to let the empty desert or the mountain range carry as much meaning as any dialogue. Cameron credited Mann with showing him that even in action films, psychological depth was essential. "Tony made me dig deeper," he said. "He'd ask me what my character was afraid of, what he'd lost, what kept him awake at night. That kind of direction changed how I approached every role after that." The second director on Cameron's list was William Wellman, known in Hollywood as Wild Bill, for his maverick approach to filmmaking. "Bill was fearless," Cameron recalled with evident admiration. "He didn't care what the studios wanted or what was fashionable. He just told the stories he believed in, and he did it with complete honesty. I learned from him that you can't be timid in this business. You have to commit fully to your choices and stand by them." Cameron particularly remembered Wellman's insistence on authenticity. He hated anything fake or theatrical. If a scene didn't feel real to him, he'd tear it apart and rebuild it until it did. That kind of uncompromising vision, it inspired everyone on set to bring their best work. Cameron's third choice was Raoul Walsh, the one-eyed director whose career spanned 5 decades. Raoul was pure energy, Cameron said. He directed from instinct and passion, not from theory. When you worked with him, you felt like you were part of something genuinely adventurous. He reminded me that movies should be exciting, that audiences come to feel something, not just to watch something. Walsh's influence taught Cameron the importance of momentum and pacing. Raoul understood rhythm, he explained. He knew when to speed things up, when to slow them down. He taught me that acting isn't just about individual moments. It's about how those moments flow together to create an emotional journey. The fourth director Cameron named was Bud Boetticher, whose lean, efficient westerns became cult classics. Bud made these small, tight films that were absolutely perfect, Cameron said. No wasted shots, no unnecessary dialogue. Everything served the story. He showed me that you don't need a big budget or elaborate sets to create something powerful. You just need clarity of vision and the discipline to execute it. Cameron admired Boetticher's focus on character relationships and moral dilemmas. His films were always about codes of honor, about what happens when men face impossible choices. That's the kind of storytelling that stays with people long after the credits roll. Finally, Cameron spoke about John Huston, perhaps the most literary of all Hollywood directors. "John was an artist in the truest sense," Cameron said reverently. "He approached filmmaking like writing a novel. Every shot had to reveal something about character or theme. I only worked with him once, but that experience taught me more about the depth cinema could achieve than years of other work. Huston's influence expanded Cameron's understanding of what film could be. He made me realize that westerns, crime films, adventures, they could all be vehicles for exploring the human condition. It wasn't about the genre, it was about the truth you found within it. Reflecting on his 5 directors, Cameron offered a simple philosophy. These men taught me that filmmaking is collaboration in service of truth. The best directors don't just tell actors what to do, they create an environment where everyone can discover the story together. They respect the craft, they challenge you to go deeper, and they never settle for easy answers. Rod Cameron continued working until his health declined in the early 1980s. He passed away on December 21, 1983, at the age of 73 from cancer. Though he never achieved the legendary status of some contemporaries, his body of work, over 100 films and television appearances, stands as a testament to professionalism, adaptability, and genuine love for the craft. Today, Cameron is remembered by Western film enthusiasts as a reliable, dignified presence in the genre's golden age. His tribute to the 5 directors who shaped his understanding of cinema reveals a thoughtful artist who knew that great acting emerges from great direction and that the collaborative spirit of filmmaking creates something larger than any individual contribution. Rod Cameron's legacy lives on not in flashy headlines or award ceremonies, but in the steady, honest work he brought to every role, a fitting tribute to a man who understood that true artistry lies in craftsmanship, dedication, and the wisdom to learn from masters.